I want to start with Officer Wilt. He was one of the officers who was shot during this. He was just fresh out of the police academy. He had just graduated. Do you know how he's doing?
Officer Wilt is a hero. He and Officer Galloway were able to get there really about 3 minutes after the first call came in. And we've lost 5 people thus far, including a very close friend of mine, but we would have lost more. But for what those 2 individuals and so many more did. Now, they rushed right in. They put their lives on the line, and because of that, Officer Wilt's life is still on the line. Now, he is still with us, but certainly in very serious condition. We all ought to be praying over the next day, 2 days, however long it takes.
Yeah, and we certainly are. And, that was part of that body camera footage that was released. You can see what he was doing, and the other officer, they were the first ones to arrive on the scene. The police department has also released today that 911 audio that they got of the many calls that people placed. One of them is from the shooter's mother, who calls to say that her son's roommate has called to say he has a gun and he's headed toward the Old National Bank. Just to hear something like that, to see the mom calling, what's that like?
This person murdered my friend. But still, I can't imagine how his parents must be feeling right now.
This is difficult for you to talk about, I can tell.
Yes.
And your friend is Tommy Elliott.
Tommy and I met probably 15 years ago. He was just a little older than I am now. Of all things, we met in the Capitol. My dad had just become governor, and I remember we were on this chamber trip. Younger lawyer, he's a banker, and the current, I think it was the president of the Senate, comes in and just totally blasts my dad, having no idea that I'm sitting in the room.
And his son is sitting in the room. Right there.
Yeah. And immediately after that, Tommy walked up and said something like, well, that was something. He became my banker. I became his lawyer. Helped me build a law practice here. Rented me space in that building when I ran for Attorney General. I mean, it's an amazing friend.
How long were y'all friends for?
I think the last right around 14 to 15 years. During much of that, we'd talk every week, multiple times, especially before becoming governor. Nothing I wouldn't have done for him, nothing he wouldn't have done for me.
And he was at your inauguration. We could see him standing there in the second row. You said that...
Yeah, that was cold, by the way, and he wore a hat that I'm still wondering where it came from. There's a lot of people my age or around my age in this city and in this state that are in a position of leadership or in the business community because of Tommy. But more than that, I mean, he's probably one of my 5 closest friends. He'd been through every phase of parenthood. And I grew up with a brother and I have a daughter and a son, but him having helped raise 4 daughters would try to give me the best advice.
What kind of advice did he give you all that? Because you do need, dads need advice, we all know it.
Thick skin and love. That was typically what he'd say. He'd just say, you just love him.
You actually were the one who called his wife to let her know.
She deserved to know. I came here immediately after originally getting a text and a notice in my office in Frankfurt that there was a mass shooting going on, and then getting the address that it was my bank, and then getting the information that it happened in a boardroom that I knew several of my friends would be in. I knew it would be hours before others could call her, and I thought she deserved to know. And we're real close, I think, right now to where I made that call hardest. I've been governor during this pandemic. I've been governor during tornadoes and floods and negative 45-degree wind chills and everything else. And we've lost a lot of people during those, but calling your friend's wife, who's also your friend, to tell her that her husband is gone is amongst the hardest things I have ever done. But at the same time, she deserved to know.
and to know from you.
Yeah.
What do you want people to remember about him? You talk about what a good friend he was and a great dad.
Man, he had a great smile. His eyes lit up when he did it. Loved life. Was always into something. Trying to make the city a better place, trying to make University of Louisville a better place, he just always into something, always working, always thinking about that next step. I mean, heck, he was trying to plan for me for when I'm done being governor, which was something I hoped that we could eventually plan together. But amazing human being, a loving dad, amazing husband. I hope that someday I'm half the husband that he's been, and just a really good friend.
I think one thing that's important to know is your campaign was actually being based out of that building where the shooting happened.
Yeah, I worked out of that building for a couple years on and off, and know everybody in it. I got to hug some people who were on the second floor where we were that are okay, and I got to see a couple people from the bank who were also very close friends. One who was shot in the ER, but knowing he was going to make it. He always says, "Hey, boss," to me when I see him. That was a really great moment on a really terrible day. And then found out later, someone that I was initially told had died was alive and unhurt, and for that I'm grateful to God.
I think one thing that is really striking to me is something we heard from the chief medical officer at the hospital here, Dr. Jason Smith, who I know is a friend of yours.
Yeah. We've been through a lot together.
He had this moment that I want to play for you.
For 15 years, I've cared for victims of violence and gunshot wounds. And people say I'm tired, but I'll be answered. It's more than tired. I'm weary. There's only so many times you can walk into a room and tell someone they're not coming home tomorrow.
What's it like for you to hear the frustration in his voice about what they deal with?
I know Jason well, and he cares. And we battled COVID together. He really cares. And we think a lot, rightfully so, about the police and the fire department and the EMS that show up there on the scene. But our surgeons, those nurses, they are first responders too. The first part of the battle for people's lives is stopping that shooter. But the second part is fighting for those that have been injured. And listen, they lost Deanna that night, doing their best. They are also really on that front line of trying to save somebody's life. And I think that's what you hear from Jason.
He said that he felt weary. Do you feel that too?
Violence hurts us all. And none of us want to lose somebody, especially people we know and care about. And I can understand if Jason is seeing so many people he doesn't have to adjust his schedule, how that hurts. But let me just say this. It's going to sound odd, but I'm glad it still hurts because it means he still cares. And he is still pushing. And he is still trying. And it should show how vested, right? How vested every one of those doctors and nurses are to saving people's lives. And it ought to tell Deanna's family that they tried as hard as they could. And Officer Wilt, who we're praying for, I know they've given him the very best chance of survival. If it was my life, I'd trust Jason.